This department, under the former Department of Wildlife and Management, is one of the best in the country and sub-Saharan Africa, offering full-fledged degrees in aquaculture and fisheries management. The former Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Management, which was established in August 1981.
The present department, as presently constituted, came into being through an NUC administrative structure that split the former Department of Wildlife and Fisheries into Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries Management and Wildlife and Ecotourism in year 2012, February 1. The trajectory of this department will not be complete if you don't capture its route in what we had in the then Department of Wildlife and Fisheries and the earlier one in the Department of Forest Resources Management.
I met a department that was newly founded but without infrastructure. I met about 4 senior colleagues at the time I joined. But together, through series of trainings, developmental activities, linkages, as well as collaboration with institutions, departments within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, we've been able to build the department to what you can see today. To God be the glory.
Was the first of its kind in Africa, south of the Sahara. The Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries Management of the University of Ibadan originated from a single program, BSc Forestry, in the Department of Forestry, which was changed to Department of Forest Resources Management in the 1975-76 academic session. The Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries Management was created as a full-fledged department in February 1, 2012. Following the approval of the National University Commission (NUC) for splitting the former Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Management into 2 departments of Aquaculture and Fisheries Management and Department of Wildlife and Ecotourism Management.
And since the creation of this department, the department has been, the effect of the department has led to a radical transformation of the aquaculture and fisheries management space in Nigeria and also in Africa. This is the first of its kind in south of the Sahara, and the impact of this department has been felt all over Nigeria and all over Africa. The recent outlook of aquaculture and fisheries, especially in Nigeria, cannot be divorced from the impact of Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries Management.
Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries Department has emerged as a flagship department for training of aquaculture and fisheries specialists, not only in Nigeria and West African sub-region, but in the entire African region. And the department has come of age and has become a center of excellence for training in Africa.
The department offers full-fledged degree programs in aquaculture and fisheries management at MSc, MPhil, PhD, and PhD levels, as well as a postgraduate diploma program in biodiversity management, which is jointly run with the Department of Wildlife and Ecotourism Management. The Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries Management has the mandate to train high-level manpower in aquaculture, fisheries management, fisheries recreation, fisheries extension, and economics, post-harvest utilization and biodiversity management. The department postgraduate program is presently run under 2 units options, and these are 1. Aquaculture and 2. Fisheries management. The department has a model fish farm for research training and demonstration of commercialization of our research output. This farm has become a prototype for other departments of fisheries management in Nigerian universities and private sectors who want to invest in commercial aquaculture. The department is endowed with experienced lecturers at senior and middle cadres who, in their different areas of specialization and with a rich crop of technical and administrative staff, work diligently to maintain the high academic standard and discipline of the university. Staff within the department have served locally and internationally with organizations such as the Fisheries Society of Nigeria, FISN, Catfish Farmers Association of Nigeria, CAFAN, Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, United Nations Development Program, UNDP, International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, West and Central Africa Council for Agricultural Research and Development, Coraf WECAD, African Development Bank, AFDB, among others.
My field is fish genetics and breeding, and it's a very relatively young area, but very important because the whole world is now going to the level of genetics and biotechnology. The department has a vision to be frontliner in aquaculture development, manpower development all over Africa and the world at large. And I believe that we have enough resources to do that. Being a product of this department, I passed through my senior colleagues, and they have imparted the vision and mission of the department onto me. And I believe our generation should build on what they have and improve on it. Since I started my career, I've tried to build my career around development of novel strains in commercial fisheries, catfish and shell fishes. I've worked on Clarias grapinus and I've discovered strains in it. I've also been able to assess the potentials of these strains. It is a novel idea. For decades of culturing catfish in Nigeria, we reported the strain for the first time during my PhD program. And I'll try to work on that to see whether these strains has significant contribution to aquaculture, and discovered that these strains have potentials and their intra-specific crosses also have different characteristics which automatically will affect farmers. Understanding the importance of these, I was able to publish the work in Elsevier journal, is Aquaculture, and it's been widely referenced till today.
We'll notice in recent times one of the government policy is to eradicate or minimize the barest minimum poverty. And so my area of specialization is very important in terms of promulgating policies that are effective, that can be utilized to achieve these objectives. When you talk about gender, you are basically talking about differences of forms, differences that exist between people. Gender is not about women in particular, but about men, women, children, adults, and youths. And so my area of specialization will help the department to be able to fulfill the goals for which the department is set up for, which is to produce fish to not only feed itself, but feed the nation. You discover that men and women are affected differently when it comes to utilization of resources and production of fish. And so these different groups of people are looked at in my research to see how each of these groups can utilize resources effectively to produce or improve their livelihood, such that the sustainable development goals that the government is aiming at, sustainable to reduce poverty, enhance equality, is fulfilled. And so different projects have been conducted to see how these things can come to pass. And gender is one of the tools that can be used. I have over the time benefited from a few fellowships. For example, I benefited from the Norman Bullock Fellowship some years back in 2011, and the area I focused on is the utilization of fish in different forms, such that the rural women will be able to benefit or be able to transform fish into other products to enhance their livelihood and better their lot. When these women are able to take hold of their own life by themselves, then you can be sure that their children, their husband, and the nation as a whole will be better off.
I specialize in the area of fish biochemistry and environmental toxicology. The field is sustainable because every day the department majors in several areas, including water quality and feed formulation. I have been involved in the area of water quality management. We look at environmental pollution, which occurs regularly, and over time I know that that's going to be continuous, except if we have people coming in to control environmental pollution. Is still a regular thing, and I believe that's still sustainable. So we have students from all over Africa coming in to the department because they've heard of the things that are happening. We have a lot of students from Mali, from Guinea, from Equatorial Guinea, Benin Republic, and other departments. And people have over time come to identify this department as a center of excellence.
Fish management involves understanding the environment where the fish live, and understanding what they eat, and understanding what they eat them. So the basis of ecology is to understand conceptually the relationship between the environment and the fish you are trying to nurture. Because without thorough understanding of the fish, the environment, you cannot really manage them. So effective understanding of this has been my own core area of callings in the department. In terms of research, I have more than 30 journal publications right now, and my research focus has always been on ecology. We are trying to look at other fish species, freshwater fish species that are not yet being brought to culture. So I'm trying to study into their biology, like Scribe. I've worked so much on it, Scribe mitus. I've worked so much on understanding their biology, looking at the ecological needs, looking at the food and feeding habits, so that at the end of the day, all this knowledge will be brought together to actually get information on how best to manage them, bring them to culture, so that the number of fish available for masses in terms of the different species, rather than depending on the catfish and tilapia alone. So we have dwelled into even Gymnacus nauticus, Epsetus odors. All those are areas of research that I have dwelled into, trying to really understudy them very well, so that we can actually bring them to culture. For direct link with farmer, I've always been involved in a lot of activities that are geared towards enhancing the capacity of farmers in managing their fisheries. I'm a member of Catfish Farmer Association, a member of Fisheries Society of Nigeria, and a member of Association of Nigeria Fisheries Scientists. And to that extent, I've been able to really contribute my own quota in terms of knowledge dissemination to the farmer. And currently, we just finished a World Bank project, Code of Record. I've been part of the team, and to a large extent, we have been able to impact on integrated fish farming. We have been able to the knowledge developed in this in the department. We transfer it to farmer on how best to integrate fish rice come poultry, or fish rice come pig, and the knowledge developed has been disseminated to the farmer, and a lot of farmers have benefited, even outside the country. And I even benefited from a training program through the Code of Record. A program on tilapia development in South Africa. And to us, all this knowledge have been brought to bear, and it's enhancing the capacity of our students. And that is why you see our students, they are highly distinct from other students from the fishery management from other universities, because of the kind of exposure we have. We actually impact on the quality of the product we turn out at the end of the day.
Over the past years, I've always loved to work in fisheries because I love the oceans. So we focused mainly on ocean affairs, and in the past I've won fellowships like the Nippon Foundation Fellowship, whereby I had to work in Canada with some people in the area of fisheries governance. And there I looked at the governance system of Nigerian fisheries, and I was able to identify that there's so much lacking in our governance systems, probably because of our accountability or the fact that you cannot hold somebody responsible for something. So that's been my area of focus over the years, and I've really been enjoying it.
I've worked on the development of a modern smoking kiln that we can use to smoke fish, and also I've done design and construction of machines in the area of extrusion of feed, and these are one of the major challenges that we have in the industry. Like presently now, the smoking kiln that were developed through this department are being used in several African countries presently, and it's a good development that we are able to solve the problems of post-harvest after people harvesting their fish. Also, in the area of feed production too, the machine developed has been used and is being used by farmers also to develop different feed, to develop their feed. So we are able to even to reduce the stress of farmer. They are looking into the kind of feed that they are going to produce, and most farmers they are looking for floating feed, and I'm able to design such a machine that is cost effective that we can use. And most of the machines that developed also are cost effective that farmer can afford, and their durability is something that we have tested here in the department. You know how we are most of our resources are waste resources, also looking at equipment that we can use. These are further work that I'm trying to do, so that we can also utilize our waste, also turn it into add value to it. Presently, even on farm now, what we are also using, we are turning our waste also in the production of feed with the use of extruder, and so many activities like that have been put into research work, which I still continue to do, and also using of other ways to reduce the cost of feed. I've worked on the use of pineapple pomace, which is a waste from the feed industry, in the juice industry, and turn it to the production of feed. And even our vegetables also, how we can turn those vegetables waste that we are getting also for the production of feed, so that the cost of feed, which is one of the major problems in the industry, can reduce, and also we can get good value for our products that we have.
Since I've been employed, I've been teaching and doing research in this area: biotechnology, genetics, biostatistics. And this research has taken me to so many places. For instance, I have further been trained even in South Africa, where I went to do some research work on tilapia culture and production of oil meal, and that has added to our knowledge and practice of what we do on Diversity Fish Farm and what we impart to farmers. And since I've also come to this department, I have been privileged to have won some grants. Like I did say, the South Africa training I went for was a grant that was sponsored by the West and Central African Council for Agricultural Research and Development, in conjunction with the University of Ibadan project on integrated aquaculture. So the project, for which I was even the project officer, was aimed at enabling and improving the life of rural and resource-poor farmers in such a way that they could earn a living and also be able to produce protein and carbohydrate on a single plot of land. And part of this research, so many personnel were trained, of which I was privileged to have gone to Aquaculture Academy in Grahamstown in South Africa. Aside from that, I also won a TED Fund grant of 3 million naira, with which I used to do the bench work for my PhD at the University Putra, Malaysia, in Malaysia. The grant was quite helpful because it helped me to be able to build some ground on my area of research. because especially I am interested in bringing new species to culture in Nigeria. We found that in places like China that have dominated world aquaculture, they have more than 300 species of fish or fishes that they do culture. But in Nigeria, predominantly, there are just about 5 or 6 species. And to bring varieties, as they say, being the spice of life, I think contributing in the aspect of bringing in new species under culture will go a long way in easing the pain of farmers and producing better fish to fish consumers. So in this area, I have worked with my team, and we have been working on so many other fish species. Prominent among them is the Gymnacus niloticus, but specifically the one I went to work on at the University Putra Malaysia in Malaysia is Parachana obscura. Parachana obscura is a fish that is well loved for its gastronomic qualities, and coupled with it being loved, and let me say, even the problem of its being loved now is being overfished, and there are environmental and ecological implications for this. So if we are able to culture this fish, then one will be saving the fish from extinction and will be providing more protein to Nigerians.
The department over the years has and is applying itself to the training and retraining of specialists in aquaculture and fisheries management in order to meet the changing needs of their surrounding in ways and manners that is local in orientation but global in accomplishment.
Very honored and privileged to be a part of this project that this department is running in training skilled manpower for aquaculture and fisheries development in Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa and the world at large. So far my experience has been wonderful here. I'm also privileged to be a product of this department at undergraduate level, where I was trained in all-round aquaculture and fisheries management, from fish biology to etiology to pond culture, fish culture, and every other facet of fisheries management. And the department also offered me the opportunity to be exposed to research institutes where our skills that we already acquired in class were sharpened by these organizations so far. And we had other exposures such as field trips that gave us the idea that what we are doing is actually a very noble profession, and it's something that we should really key into if indeed we want to make Nigeria food secure.
And coming to fisheries, actually, it's been a wonderful experience, and I have no regret for coming here. I am glad to be a product of this university, and I'm still glad to be here. I love being a fisheries student, and I'll always be one. So far so good. I had so many experiences right from undergraduate. We've been to so many places. We worked on the farm and in all aspects of fisheries, and it has not really been bad. We went to genetics lab, we went to Neoma Research Institute and the rest. And for the experience that we've had, it's been great. Presently, as a student, I do consultation for some farms, and we do online fishing, like we sell online, and that's majorly what I do actually. So.
I had my undergraduate in this department, and I have not been disappointed. I would like to start my experience from when I first gained admission. I thought I was coming here to do something that is not relevant. But after my undergraduate, I was convinced, because I was exposed to so many practicals, so many projects, I was convinced that you can only do a life career. Fisheries is a life career because it's something that people will always engage in. There's nobody that will not eat fish. There's nobody that will not eat daily. Fisheries is just beyond rearing fish and processing. There are a lot of opportunities in fisheries. Being a postgraduate student, currently I've been exposed to so many things. I actually came back so that I can enrich my knowledge, because there is no other place in Africa, to me, that you can get a well-defined knowledge about fisheries and aquaculture, because this department is one of the best. Even when I go out among my peers, I always stand out because I'm giving a first-class lectures here. Now, presently, what this department has done for me, I've been able to stand on my own. Presently, I have a company that deals with fish processing and packaging. where I train and employ people. Presently, I'm self-employed. This department is one of the best.
Je m'appelle Siratene Sidibé, je suis de la Guinée-Conakry. Je suis dans ce département pour étudier l'aquaculture.
I am in this department to study aquaculture and fishery management, that is, fishery and agriculture. I am here for the program of WAP. I am here with the help of my country and WAP for this program. The level of agriculture in Queenie is not high and extensive. Here in Nigeria, the agricultural sector is intensive and standard. Nigeria is the second country that is good in agriculture and fishery in Africa. After that is Egypt. Nigeria is an English-speaking country, and not only have I learned agriculture and fishery management, I have also learned English language, and it will help the activities of the country. In the process of learning, I am impressed in the way of teaching. They are determined and love what they do. They transfer their knowledge and they are courageous.
Bonjour, mon nom c'est Boubacar Sidiba. Je viens de Guinée-Conakry. Je suis là pour apprendre aquaculture and fisheries management. Selon mes recherches, je trouve que Nigeria.
I'm here for aquaculture and fisheries management. We found Nigeria as the second country in agriculture after Egypt. I'm here to learn something in agriculture that must help my country in agriculture and efficiency management. My objective for coming to Nigeria and Nigeria, the first and the best in agriculture in West Africa. We are not really good in agriculture, but here is Nigeria. They are advanced. That is why we have come to learn and help our country in fisheries management.
Mon nom c'est Mouedo Ebe Onassis. Je suis du Bénin. Et je suis ici pour faire le master en aquaculture et pêche.
I am here to do my master's program. I obtained a scholarship from WAP, West African Cultural Program. The reason why we choose University of Ibadan is because it's the first and the best among others. And the department here is truly very big. They have all necessary materials, ponds that produce many fish. What makes me like this very department is the manner they smoke their fish. They make it in a big way that buyers and many population in Ibadan town can buy and sell. Truly and sincerely, I have learned and acquired many information. Our country is a very small country, so it's an opportunity for me to learn in this great department. Because the department is bigger than my department, they teach also and help to follow all necessary steps. The lecturers are very social and they share the information with us. The professor understands that we don't understand English, but he follows us gently in the process of this master degree. I'm very happy to learn how to speak English, and I'll be glad to come back for my PhD.
The vision statement of the department is to build a department that will be a center of excellence for coordinating and facilitating state-of-the-art research and dissemination on fisheries and aquaculture production in Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa. Its mission statements include 1. Creation of conducive environment for learning. 2. Provide enabling environment for staff to function to the best of their abilities. 3. To produce knowledgeable graduates of integrity in the fisheries and aquaculture sector that are highly employable and able to create employment. 4. Establish a strong research link in collaboration with world-class fisheries-related institutions both at home and abroad. 5. Creation of sustainable template for enhancement of fisheries and aquaculture production for the benefit of the community within and outside the university. The department has been able to manage grants and funding supports from various local and national institutions such as CAPFEED, Grant Cyril, Tertiary Educational Fund, University Research Grant, European Union, World Bank, British Council, DAD, NUFFIC, African Development Bank, Commonwealth Fund, Fulbright Fellowship, Japan Government Fellowship, African Union World Fish Center, Koraf Wekard Fund, Royal Society Fellowship, among others, valued in millions of dollars. Some of the key innovations developed by experts from the department include 1. Modern smoking kilns. 2. Integrated fish pond system for increased and sustainable productivity. 3. Fish feed development, low or zero fish meal inclusion. 4. Zero waste generation model under integrated system. 5. Probiotic development for fish feed. 6. Use of phytogenics in sex reversal of tilapia. 7. Fish health management through uses of identified phytogenics. 8. Genetic improvement of African catfish. 9. Development of easy and locally adaptable technology for mass production of African catfish seeds. 10. Aquaculture development of indigenous tilapia and freshwater prawn. 11. Aquaponics development. 12. Wastewater reuse system. 13. Development of alternative fish species for culture in the region. 14. Bionomics study of 10 key freshwater species in Nigeria. And 15. Development of insect protein for fish feed. All notable achievements have contributed immensely to food security and aquaculture development in Nigeria, which is now the largest producer of catfish in Africa.
Welcome to the Department of